Welcome to Moto Trek. I'm Rob Day and I'm an adventure motorcycle tour leader. If you're like me, you love to go moto camping. It's a great feeling being completely self-sufficient with only the things that you're carrying on your motorcycle. But when I first started doing this, I was a terrible overpacker. And it's taken me several years to learn how to pare down this load into something that's a lot more workable. Let's take a look at the stuff that I normally carry on an adventure motorcycle camping trip. For the past 2 years, I've been using this Harley Davidson Pan America as my main touring bike. And before that, I used a BMW R1200 GSA for about 8 years. So going from a 2015 GSA to a 2022 Pan America was a big step up in technology for me. I chose this luggage system because this is my switch from hard bags, and I wanted something that was still durable. And some soft bags aren't quite as durable as others. These ones are very durable. And they're also very well thought out. So this whole system, including this tank bag, has really served me well over the years. And I've had several versions of this, and I always come back to this Moscow setup. It's the best that I've found so far. So normally I hate tank bags, but I also hate carrying a camelback, my water bladder on my back. And so the solution for me was to find a tank bag that I could live with that didn't stick up really high, but that also had a water bladder in it. And I've actually made on my own a couple of versions of this that didn't really work that well. And when I saw this, I thought, okay, this is perfect for my needs. It's always nice to have just an extra folding hat that doesn't take up any space. I also always have at least one rag in my tank bag. I have others in the panniers, but I need one for things like wiping off my mirrors, wiping off my displays, wiping off my glasses. I try and keep this one as clean as I can. This is also a good spot for things that I don't necessarily want on me, like my chin curtain here, but I want to have it in case I need it. If it starts to get cold out, this thing is a lifesaver. Spare set of glasses. This is just a prescription from last year. I also always have a knife, a good knife. Don't get a cheapie. I always have a tire pressure gauge in here. These are hand warmers or foot warmers, right? I don't necessarily put them in my gloves or my boots or anything like that, but when it's really cold and I'm camping, I'll shake these up and I'll throw them down in the bottom of my sleeping bag so that my feet stay warm. This is a cheap $2 Walmart rain poncho, and if it starts pouring rain and somebody doesn't have a rain jacket, I can give them this. This is one of those everything adapters for charging stuff, so I carry one of these to help other people out. I also always have at least one or two of these little Velcro straps, and I always have at least a few extra pairs of earplugs. I also keep a really slim power bank right here. If I'm using a comm unit that I know is going to go dead by the end of the day, I can slip this in my pocket and wire it directly to the comm unit. I have a bee sting allergy. It's not life-threatening, but it means if I get stung, eventually I'm going to have to go get steroid shots. Well, to avoid that, all I have to do is have antihistamines with me. Oh, COVID masks. Let's put that back in there. I also have a variety of snacks, not just for me, but for anybody that I might be with. And that's it for the tank bag. One thing that I always have on a moto trip is a full gallon of water on the back of the bike. There is my Rotopax 1 gallon water jug. I have the Moscow offset pannier kit, so it's a 25 liter on the right side, the exhaust side, and a 35 liter on the other side. And I use the larger one for my larger items, not necessarily heavier items, but just things that are a little bit bulkier. I don't pack enough food for the entire trip when I go on a moto trip, but I always make sure that I have at least 3 or 4 freeze-dried meals. Sometimes you're just not anywhere near a restaurant and you're hungry, and these are handy. These also take some water, but they're lightweight, they're easy to make, and some of them are actually really good. And this is my morning solution, coffee and oatmeal. I use these Starbucks Vias because they're super lightweight and super easy to use, and they're really not that bad for instant coffee. And then I have instant oatmeal. I always bring some sort of camp chair. This one has been with me for almost 15 years. It just refuses to die. I think I got this from a BDR auction years ago. The feet have fallen off of it, but the thing is just tough and it goes with me everywhere. This is a backpacking tent. And the reason that I chose this one isn't necessarily because of its weight, but because the pole segments are only 15 inches long, and this tent fits in a pannier. Believe it or not, this is a cot. This is the ThermaRest Ultralight, and this also packs really small and it's very lightweight. It's a little bit of a hassle to set up, but it fits in a pannier and it's great for moto camping. This is my latrine kit. So there's a roll of toilet paper, a little spade to dig a hole, and some individually wrapped dude wipes. In the past, I've used a regular pack of baby wipes, and suddenly when I need them, they're dried out. Always, always bring an umbrella. Not because it might rain, but because if you're out in the desert and you have to plug a tire or something like that, or somebody gets hurt, you need some shade. Just a couple of minutes standing in the sun in the desert can really cook you. This is a folding carbide saw, and I've used this to cut through some pretty big metal pieces to try and get a bike going again after some sort of mishap on the trail. This thing has been a lifesaver. So that's everything that's in the main compartment on this side. So when you're packing, you should always have the heaviest items as low and as far forward in your bags as possible. This will keep from disrupting the handling of the bike. And what I have up here is my set of tools. This is a specific toolkit made for the Pan America, and it's a really great toolkit. It has everything that you would need for any fastener on this bike, including the large wrenches needed to get the axle nuts off. It's a great set of tools. And this is the only thing I keep in this front pouch. I'm not really sure what I've got stuffed in this one. Let's take a look. Another bag of little snacky items. I have several of these around the bike. Oh, yeah. This is where I have my siphon hose. This is a really cheap model, just enough to do the job, but it's not just the siphon hose that you need. You also should have a water bottle. I've crushed this one up so it fits in there. When you're siphoning gas from one bike to another, you need to keep track of how much you took out. So somebody might say, I've got plenty of gas in here. You start the siphon going, and now the donor is dry and the needy bike is full. So this will help you keep track of how much fuel you took out of one bike and put in the other. So instead of siphoning bike to bike, you siphon into a bottle, give that to them. This is 1 liter. These are rope saws, and this one is really long. I think this one's 6 feet. So if I came to a tree across the trail, let's say, if that tree is too big to get over and there's not enough room to get under it, you might have to cut it and move part of it. This big 6-foot rope saw, and it might take a while, will probably get through it and allow you to get that tree out of the way. This is another version of that, and this one is actually a chainsaw. So it's like a chainsaw blade with a couple of straps on it. This is only good for smaller tree trunks though. All right, another umbrella, and this one's pretty beat up. And the reason that I don't just throw it away is because it's still good for some other things. I have actually used pieces of an umbrella to make a splint for an injured rider. So I just don't want to throw it away just yet. And this is a life straw. You can dip this into the most disgusting muddy water on the planet and get a drink of clean water with it. Here's an interesting item that I recommend for anybody that is either sweeping a ride or is just further back in the pack and has to eat a lot of dust. This is called a wolf snout, and you can shove this up inside your helmet. It's a filter, it's an air filter, and this will keep all that dust from getting in your mouth and nose. Another thing that I always have with me is a big variety of rags. This is a moto camping essential. I have really come to love this item, and this is my one pot solution in the morning. It has a bowl that comes with it. I usually carry a little spork with me, and I make my coffee and my oatmeal from this. I also use this to boil water for any of the freeze-dried meals that I brought with me. My wife just bought this for me as a gift. This is a fire starting kit, and it's very cool. It's got tinder and flammable stuff and a fire steel. It's also got a lanyard in there in case I need a piece of paracord, but it has these things that you break apart and will burn easily, as well as these that are soaked in fuel that you cut little chunks off of and break apart, and it's easy to start a fire with. Another essential item, electrolyte powder, little individual packets. This is enough for an entire group of riders. You might only need 3 or 4 of these packets, but they're one of the best things you can carry, especially if you're gonna be riding in the desert. Sometimes water just isn't enough, and you need something like this. This could very well be my favorite item that I'm gonna show you. So this is just a little dry pouch that I got from Giant Loop, but inside These are the things that have got me out of many a jam. So this contains a variety of really thick, heavy zip ties. There are several in here, probably 6 or 7, that are 3 feet long and very thick for just holding something together in an emergency. There are also in here a variety of hose clamps, and the type that have the threaded slots all the way around. These are for also holding broken things together. I also have a couple of strips of duct tape in here, and it's actually a beefier version of duct tape. It's called atomic tape, and it comes in strips. You just peel individual strips off of a stack, and it'll hold almost anything together. And I also in here have 2 wire coat hangers that I straightened out and then wound up so they would fit in here. I can use those and a pair of pliers to wrap around something and hold something together. Things break when you're on an adventure, and this pouch here has helped not just me, but a bunch of my buddies out of a bunch of really bad spots. This is my first aid kit. This is not just your little tank bag first aid kit. This is an adventure kit. And I think this is essential, especially if you're gonna be out riding with a group. This has not only little bandages and gauze and things like that, but it also has a pair of heavy duty paramedic scissors to cut through things, especially heavy gear. And one of my favorite items in here, a SAM splint. What it is a piece of sheet aluminum that's also wrapped in gauze that unfolds to about 3 feet long. And you use this to mold around somebody's limb that is injured, and it's like an instant splint. It's a great item. So don't go cheap on a first aid kit. Get a good one. And that's everything in the main compartment on this side. So again, in the interest of having the heavy items as far forward as possible, this is where I keep my tire irons. I wrap a couple of them in rags so that they don't bang around and make noise, but I also carry 3. There's a 3rd one in here in the cloth. It's just a lot easier to break a bead all the way around if you've got 3 irons versus 2. So I have 3 good tire irons, the spoon type. They're not as likely to pinch a tube if you have tube type tires. This is the Moto rechargeable compressor. So the first thing I did to test this, being paranoid about battery life and will this thing have any charge left when I actually need it, I charged it up and I let it sit for 2 years on my desk. And then I grabbed it, put it in the bag, and went on a tour in Death Valley. One of the riders cut a tire open really badly. It was a difficult plug to make. And this thing, after sitting for 2 years, still had a full charge and was able to completely fill up his rear tire. Further down the road, those plugs blew out and we had to redo it, and it still had enough charge to completely fill that tire again. Here's another item that I think everyone should carry. This is an emergency sleeping bag. It costs about $5. And several of my buddies have had unexpected overnights for whatever reason, sometimes in cold climates. And they didn't have anything with them because they were only out for a day ride or something like that. And they had to spend the night shivering, wearing nothing but their gear. This is a heavy duty 18-inch inner tube. You may be wondering, why am I carrying an inner tube if I have tubeless tires? You can slam into something with that front wheel, for example, and bend the rim, and no amount of pounding on it will get it to hold air again. In that case, the best option is to put an inner tube in there. And the reason that I carry an 18-inch is because most big adventure bikes have 17-inch rear and 19-inch front, and this 18-inch will work in either one of them okay. Another obvious essential is you need to have a tire repair kit. And my recommendation is the old school rope type plugs. So always try and have a fresh tube of glue as well. Since I'm not actually on a camping trip, I don't have the large duffel bag that I normally strap across the passenger seat. In that bag, I have my sleeping bag in a compression sack so that it's very small, about the size of a large grapefruit, and all of my clothing items, including jackets, shoes, all of my socks and underwear, pants, all that stuff. And also in that bag is some sort of largemouth sports drink bottle. I'll let you figure out what that's for. That's about it for the stuff that I would normally carry on a motorcycle camping trip. I'm not suggesting that you should have all of these items on your bike. Normally you would have these items spread out among the riders in your group so that nobody has to carry such a heavy load. The reason that I have all these items is because I'm also a tour leader. I've shown you a lot of stuff in this video. None of these items are sponsored. But if you do want more information about them, we're going to include affiliate links in the description. By the way, Moto Trek just launched a Patreon page, so please consider supporting us there. Thank you for watching.